Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is V. Today we're going to continue with this series of coffee shop sim simulator, and we're going to continue with the customer behavior, with the improving the behavior tree, adding more Blackboard keys, all of that. What we left off in the previous tutorial was to we had the customer, and the customer came to this counter, this one, and it will do an animation for 3 times and go back to its original position, and it will do that 3 times. In this tutorial we're going to change that and make the customer wait until the order is fulfilled by you. So we're going to do this part, and also I'm going to show you this is the customer order. So if I run this again, have my layer here, this guy over here will come in a sec to the counter. Okay, come on. Okay, and okay, it will look at me, and then it will show this UI, and the customer is expecting this and this. So we won't do the order, that will come later, but we'll do this loop. So the customer is gonna stay here for forever. The first thing we're going to do is to modify the current behavior tree and add the rotation when the customer is at the counter, and the customer will rotate towards the player. So if I move, it will rotate towards me. So if I'm here, it will rotate on that direction. If I'm right here, it will do that. So it will face us. The first thing we're going to do is to change the rotation of this customer when the customer reaches this point. And we're going to use the player to rotate towards that. So for that, we're going to need a new Blackboard key. This is our current behavior tree that the basic customer blueprint is running. So we are going to add a new task here. So first let's go back here and let's create a new key, which is going to be a player reference. We need to set the key to player actor. Okay, and then we're going to just use a new task, which is rotate to PVC entry. And let's set this as a player. One cool thing we can do about this, so we can tight this a bit, is to create a new sequence and then use this one instead of just that. So we have this part, this action localized. So first this goes this action, then we have the loop, and then finally we have the final sequence. We can also rename these, so we can set go to counter. And finally we need to set this, otherwise this won't work. So we need to go back to the basic customer, and we're gonna need to set the behavior tree, that variable on the behavior tree. So on the basic customer, if you remember, on the begin play, we have around here run behavior tree, and we are running this behavior tree. So we can access the Blackboard attached to this behavior tree, this one, using this get AI controller. So we can just do this and then set value get Blackboard, and then set value as an object. And here we just need the get player controller and maybe the pound. Get controller pound. Yeah, I think we will use that one. We know we only have one player controller, so it's going to be the first one. and we need this key name, so we need to make a literal name. And remember, it has to be exactly this name. So easy to just copy this one and paste it. So we have this part set. We can move this to the end. There. So it will run the behavior. It will set this counter position, which is an actor that we did in the previous tutorial, the start location, and finally the player. Okay, so we can test this out. So it should face now the player. Yeah, that looks much better. We can also check the behavior tree and you will see how the sequence is playing out. Just right now here, then is the next sequence, and then it will go back to that. The next thing we're going to do is to make this customer stay here in loop until the order has been fulfilled. So for that, we're going to use a new blackboard key, which is going to be an integer, which is going to be the customer order status. Let's go to the blackboard and let's make an int customer order status. We are going to create the same one here because we're going to use this to change the value stored on the player. So which is going to be an integer as well. And we need to do the same. We need to get the blackboard key and we need to set the value. Set value as an integer in this case. We need to make again a literal name. Save name, important. And finally, we can plug this in. Okay. So first, this ordered status is going to be 1, which is going to be the status that indicates the customer has an order pending. So 0 will be nothing, and 1 will be customer has an order. Okay, so we need to go back here, and what we are going to do is going to change this. Here, instead of this loop, we are going to use a conditional. Let's make a new sequence. Let's move this out of the way, and here we're going to use a decorator. This conditional loop. Okay, and we're going to use a blackboard key. In this case, it's going to be conditional order status. And what we are going to do is not equal to 3. This means this is going to be in loop forever until this is 3. Right now is set to 1, which means the customer has an order pending. And then we can just put this here. So it should do this action forever now. Let's see. Let's move this right there. Okay. It's waiting. Go back there, then there. The next step is the complex one. We're going to send the order to the player. For that, we're going to need different things. We're going to need several structures in C++. We're going to need a task on the behavior tree, well, a few other things. So let's go back here. So right now we're in this loop. This means the customer order status is not equal to 3, which means the order hasn't been fulfilled. But the first time we enter this loop, we're going to send the order to the player so we can display the UI. So for that, let's move this away. We're going to create a new task that we can use here, a customer one. So let's put new task. It will normally give you this name, and I'd rather change that name so we can go here, and this is the one. So we're gonna set this to task send order to player. Okay, let's right click, and for this we can use execute receive. This one we can use, this one, we don't need the other one. Then we can get the AI controller, which is the controller of the customer, the blueprint, this one. Get controller pound, and we can cast to BB basic customer. It's gonna be useful because the basic customer is gonna store the order and the information of the customer, which we are going to also send there. Okay, and a few things we need to do is, if this fails, we will set this to finish execute. This means finish to execute this task. If we don't put this, it will be stuck in this task forever. And we will set this to no success. Next, if this doesn't fail, we're going to get the player pound. We're going to cast to BB main player, which is the player. We can do this again. If it fails, just stop. And next, here is where we are going to send the order, but we don't have that part yet. What we could do is to change the... Let's go back to the first, this part. So we're going to call that task, which is that one. Okay, but we only going to do this if the customer order is equal to 1. So let's make a new sequence. Then let's place here a small weight, just tiny, just to make sure that this doesn't jump right straight and it moves. This is just security, it's not important. And here we can only want to do this if this is in the blackboard. There is a condition here, and we want to check if the customer order is equal to 1. If it's something else, don't do it. So with this, the customer order right now is 1. Going to do the wait, do this task. When it finishes the task, it will move on. So inside here, what we're going to do is to change the order status to 2. So it will stay in this loop, but it will only do this once. So we can go back. We can get this one. I think I forgot. Yeah, so this needs to be public. Okay, right. Set orders to status. Let's put this to 2, so it will do that once. And then, okay, this should go here, then here. And let's make this node as a success, so it won't be stuck there. Let's test this out real quick. Okay. Okay, so customer goes to that, it will press the player, it will do this very quickly, and it will stay here forever. No, I forgot something. So we need something else here to make this happen. We need a selector, otherwise it will jump from one to another. So we need a selector. Okay. Okay, so it will select between this or this. Not only the selector, we need to fix something on this task that I forgot. So what we did here, what I did here is basically set the customer order inside the blueprint pad. The blackboard still has the value to 1, so this hasn't changed. We need to set this value again here. So let's do this after that one. We can get the blackboard exactly as we did on the blueprint. Then we can set value as an int. We can do this after this one. We need the make literal name, and needs to be the same name as this. And we can set this to 2, so they both are in sync. Yeah, that should be enough now. Okay. Let's check this out again. So it's waiting. As you can see, this part, it was only done once. So it came here. It checked this loop. It selected this task. And then because this is equal to 2, not to 1, it only did this one. So now it's stuck in this loop. For the next part, we're going to need the UI I shown at the beginning on the player, so with the customer picture and pictures of the order. And I already imported some of the UI that we can use. It's inside this folder, and we have some font, cat gates, croissants, some of them, and these pictures, so we can use this in the UI. We also going to need a few structures, and we need to send that to the player. So let's create first the structures. So for that, we're going to do it on the definitions. Let's open this on these definitions. So first, include this, otherwise Unreal won't generate the blueprint type structures. The first structure that we need is the customer, which will contain the name of the customer and a texture to the customer profile. This will help us to show the customer ID on the UI. Then we're going to create an order. This will contain an order ID and an array of item orders, so the customer can have 1 until n orders. We are going to use just 1, but this can be handy in the future. And finally, the structure of the one single item order, which will contain a name, ID, well, it's an ID, an icon, which is not the normal icon of the item, and the item completed icon. So one order will contain a number of items. and each order will contain an ID, and each item is represented by this. So we're gonna have two textures. One is the item when the order hasn't been with that item hasn't been placed on the counter, and this is when that item has been set on the counter. So if you compile this, you can use this on the Blueprint player, on the Blueprint customer. So we're going to create two here. So one is going to be the order. For now, it's just gonna be one. We should be able to see it here, right? Perfect. We can start adding elements here. So let's set order one, and then let's put two items. You can send something like, let's see what I have here. Okay, croissant, and this is going to be the completed. And I think we have, okay, let's put the cupcake. This is not gonna be very important now. It's gonna be important in the next chapters. Cupcake, pink cupcake, and the other one. Okay, so the order is complete, and the other thing we need is the customer, which is going to be the customer. There we go. Okay. Make sure to compile. So we can set this as a pirate. And I think I also have the, yeah, so let's use this one. So you will want to make this public, so you can go to each instance, for example here, and set this right there. So you can set this here, and if you go to any of these, which are childs of that, it will inherit the parent. Well, because I'm using the blueprint, but you can change this for each element. With this, we can complete this task. So for that, now we have access to those elements, and first we need an event here to receive those elements. So let's open the blueprint, player blueprint, right here, and then okay, we're going to create an event, custom event, and receive order, for example, and we're gonna send both structures again. So here we can have order and customer. Perfect, and the customer. Okay, then we can go back to here, and when we are in this state, let's move this out of the way. We can call that on receive customer order. And because we have all the information on this basic customer, we can just get the order and the customer ID. Okay, at this state, what we're going to do is to show an UI and leave the UI there. So for that, we need a basic UI for the player. So let's create here a new widget, which is going to be player UI, for example. And we can set here, let's make a text for now. Okay. we can set. This is just to test if the UI appears. Okay. So we're going to create this UI on the begin play. Play. We can do create widget. We can select the widget. Okay. And then we can add this to the viewer. Right, with this we should have that basic UI. There we go, this UI. And when this happens, we can just show that we can create a small UI for the item, the customer, and all of that. I'm gonna create that part very quickly because otherwise this tutorial it will be very long. But you can open this project and check everything. This project is for free, and so my ETO page. I will link everything below. So I'm gonna do that part quickly, and I'll show you a few functions that I'm gonna create to send this order to that UI. So I copied this widget blueprint from my other project, so it was quick. It's just so we have the player UI and one single order. For this part, we're just gonna have one single order every time. In the future, I might extend this to make this like a queue of orders, something like that, something similar like in Overcooked, something like that. I don't know. I haven't decided. So this is the UI. I'm gonna add this first and make this bigger. Okay, so we have this is the default element, and if I go to this widget blueprint, it has this size 200. As I said, you can open this project and copy these elements. There is no problem with that. I decided that each customer only going to have 3 items, no more or less. We can make this dynamic with a list, and we can add elements, but I decided, wow, this is simple enough. There is no need to complicate things. If you know you only want to have 3 items maximum, makes things simple. And this is the customer image. So if we go to the graph, I have, well, all of these elements are public, so we can use them here, and I have an initialized order. This function is public, and it has again the customer and the order. So here we will have absolutely everything that we receive from the customer. Now we can break this customer order. We can just do this, and as you can see, you will have the customer profile. This is the profile that we set on the blueprint basic customer. We can just set that to the customer image, so it will update this. Right, the next thing is the order. After that, what I do is I basically hide all of the items, the pictures, right? Because because I'm not using a list or anything like that. There are only 3. That's why I'm using a sequence. So first I do that, and then I take the order and I break the order, and in this case we have an array. I'm not doing anything with the order ID because it can be handy in the future, but basically I take all of the elements, and depending on the ID, the int, I will show the element. So and change the texture with the item icon. So it will loop, and if there are 2 elements, it will first do this one and then do this one. If there are only 1, it will only do this. So yeah, perfect. So we can just go back here, and what we are going to do is set this to we're gonna hide this as a default. So let's do this on the construct hidden, And then okay, this will be hidden if we play now. There's nothing there. Perfect. And on the event, which is received on the task, we can just take this widget. We're gonna need a reference to this, so let's promote this to a variable. There. Let's make this player UI, and we can take this and call initialization. Initialize order. Okay. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. We need to expose this. So I think I can just probably, well, I'm gonna make another function. I think it's gonna be easy. So let's make show order. And again, we need both the customer and the order. Customer. And the other one is the order. Okay, so then we can use this one. Initialize order. It's gonna ask me for those two. And we can make just this visible. Okay, and now we should be able to come back here and show order. Plug this, that, and that. So now let's test this out. It should work, hopefully. So the player is there. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we have this, the pirate is waiting for this and this. And in this tutorial, we're not gonna do anything else, but in the future, we will create the order and give it to the customer, and then when the customer is happy, it will move on and go along. To sum up, this task is really the most important one. So remember, when the customer is on the counter, is doing this conditional loop. With this customer order stated, while this is not equal to 3, which means there is an order, a pending order, we'll move on here, and just the first time it will do this task, which will make, when it's received, it will go here, it will cast to the player, and it will call this event that we just did with the order and the customer. And when everything is hunky-dory, it will finish. We will also need to set this order status to true, so it won't do that over and over again at just the first time. That's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. It helps a lot. Also, remember you have on the Itch.io page for free, you have the project file, so you can just grab this chapter with the UI and everything else. And check my game, Kitori Academy. It's on Steam. I will put the link below, and it's a live sim set in a magical academy. You play as a wizard apprentice, and you also have a cat as a companion. Very, very fun, and please check it out. See you next time on the next video. Bye!